A problem with shame in the African American community. You know why people have shame? They have shame when they don't know their identity.
What? Hold on, stop right there, Rabbi.
A problem with shame in the African American community. You know why people have shame? They have shame when they don't know their identity.
Hello and welcome to the Berean Scholar channel, a channel designed to wake up the people of the Most High. We have been told that we are descendants of slaves who were brought from the west coast of Africa.
They made us believe that we had no religion, no civilization, and no roots, but is this the truth? The west coast of Africa in particular boasts a rich tapestry of cultures and traditions that long predate European arrival. To understand West Africa, one must look beyond the colonial lens and recognize the depth and complexity of its history.
I want you to stop right there. And I want you to rewind and say what you just said about not knowing your identity, because there's a big fight going on. You here in America, I don't know if you understand this side of it, but there are many African Americans who are waking up to their identity, who they are, but they're also receiving a pushback from the other side, from the Christian community, about their identification of who they are. So I want you to touch on that again, just in case people didn't hear that, what you just said, and how important that is.
Look, I'm going to say it before. The reason today, I have a lot of friends in the church who are African Americans, in even white churches, and they tell me something is wrong. Of course something is wrong, because the church is not your home. It's never intended to be your home. Your home is the house of Israel. Your home is the house of Israel. Why would you feel wrong? Why would you feel right in a stranger home? This is not your real home. And today we have a calling as Jews to invite Africa. And when Africa comes, believe me, African American will come, because Africa is the root. We heal this relationship with Africa. We need a messianic revival. It's happening. All of the African American, and there is anti-Semitism inside African American. You know why? Because they don't know their identity. They don't know where and where they come from. Sorry, you're not from Africa. You are from Africa, but you have a deeper root, and your root is in the house of Israel.
Good question. What's the difference between a man in a suit jumping in a pew and a man with torn clothes that's jumping up outside talking to himself that's dirty?
A man in the pew ain't teaching them folk what that Bible really saying. You talking to a Christian / I used to be a Christian. I believe in Christ. You believe in Jesus, anywho. But I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Okay. This is basically what the Bible, who's really what the Bible talking about. All right. You see what I'm saying? Because you believe in Christ, you believe in Jesus, anywho. But I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Okay. This is basically what the Bible, who's really what the Bible talking about. All right. You see what I'm saying? Because you think them folk was standing in who Moses went to go save? In 110, 15 degree weather.
I'm big on the Hebrew Israelite books, you know what I'm saying? Finding out who we really are.
Come on. Oh, wait, you had a conversation with Nick Cannon before? With that?
No. That's just that's the thing. When people are on the same frequency, separate, that lets you know something is right.
I wanted to continue on what you was just saying. You said you were studying the Hebrew book. Did you grow up Christian and now you've switched religion? Is that what we're saying?
It's you never change. That's the perception. Christianity is really a word. It's a paradigm still for if you're a Hebrew, if you're a Christian, that means you believe that Jesus is the Messiah. That don't mean you change your religion, because you're still a Jew. You're still a Hebrew. That's just a word to deter you away from who you really are. So people be like, "Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian." I'm like, "Yeah, me too, but I'm still a Hebrew. And if I'm a Hebrew, then you know I'm a Jew. So you already know that."
Oh, look at it! I like it.
I'm about to go join.
He got too deep, yeah. Right. Okay,
The doors of the church are now open.
Where you call?
Hey, DC, man, you know what?
Because a lot of people, like, of our skin color, bro, we really don't know who we are. Like, everybody else know their nationality, know their ethnicity. You feel me? Black is just a color. You feel me? What are you beyond black? Like, yeah, I'm with black excellence because that means people of us. Me, Mexicans, Puerto Rican, Dominican, you of color. So you black. But who are you?
Come on.
I hate to ask this question because it's embarrassing. How many of you who are African Americans, how many of you know the African city and country from which your ancestors were born?
Not one hand went up.
Not one hand went up. I asked this question of 500 whites. How many of you know the city and country? I was teaching at a university, a white university, just outside Philadelphia. Every hand went up. They knew not only the country from which they came, not only the city, but the borough from which their ancestors came. Now, how come they know and none of you know?
Now, let me ask you, did you grow up as a Christian in Africa? Did you grow up as a Christian?
I did. I was raised going to church. I was a Christian, or I'm a Christian from Africa. I don't neglect the wording Christian because the original Christians are Hebrews. It just means that they are the ones that continued the legacy of Christ and followed what Christ told them to do. Now, whatever the so-called foreign church did with that, that's on their heads, but the original Christians are Hebrews.
Right.
So in my early childhood, we attended Sabbath keeping churches, actually, because my grandmother and my mother gravitated towards those kinds of churches. But I've always, throughout my upbringing, it's been, by the grace of God, through teachings of the Bible.
Okay, so now you grew up as a Christian, which meant that you grew up reading or familiar with the Bible. Now, did you always know that your tribe was actual physical descendants of the biblical Israelites? Is that something that you always knew?
No, I didn't always know. I didn't grow up knowing. So I asked my grandmother, and she told me about her story. I asked her whether she knew. And she said, at first she said no. And then she thought about it and she said, but my dad always claimed that he was the son of Abraham, a descendant of Abraham. And he always he rested on Saturdays, even though he wasn't going to church. He stopped all his work on Friday evening. He would do some ceremonious cleansing and dedicate the Saturday to the worship of who he called Mauga, which is Mauga means the great God, which is who we call Yah. And so he had a special hut, actually, a special enclosure that he had made where everybody thought, well, a lot of people thought maybe he had idols in there, but he told them he was worshiping God in there. And so nobody was allowed to go into that hut. So he would go there and on the Sabbath, he would go in there. We don't call it Sabbath, by the way. We just call it depends on what profession you are, but I'll go into that later. So he would go in there and he would spend time in there. Nobody knew what he was doing until after he passed away. And then they went in there. All they could find was a vessel of water, which was the vessel of purification for him. And then they went into the inner, the hut itself, and there was nothing in there. It was empty, you know. So when she told me that, I said, wow, that's amazing. That was, to me, that was the confirmation that I needed to know that her dad was actually worshiping the Most High.
Those who worship me and have been driven away will bring my gifts and worship from the other side of the rivers of Ethiopia. Zephaniah 3 verse 10.
What do Kendrick Lamar and Kodak Black have in common? Wait, this sounds like a trick question, I know, but it's not. Yes, Kendrick Lamar is considered by some as one of the greatest rappers of our generation, with his intricate wordplay, complex metaphor, and attention to cultural activism. Now, Kodak may not get the same kind of love, but they're both influenced by the Hebrew Israelites.
I'm an Israelite, don't call me black no more. That word is only a color, it ain't facts no more.
I don't wear crosses no more, Yahusha was coming back. I ain't scared of losses no more, I see life in that.
Hey, I'm an Israelite, my diamonds Israelites.
Osei Tutu Prempeh II was the 14th Ashantehene, which means King of Ashantis. He reigned from 1931 to 1970. He actually commissioned a book in which he provides an account of the origin of Ashantis scattered in modern-day Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire, and the diaspora. An excerpt of the history book by King Osei Prempeh II can be found in British historian Tudor Partley's book called Black Jews in Africa and the Americas. What we're most interested in here is the statements of the King of Ashantis, Osei Prempeh, concerning the origin of his own people. In his history book, King Osei Prempeh II lived by Jerusalem and removed little by little to live again to Egypt, then to here. When I talked to you of it, it was said that it was the fact that it was our noble families of Ashanti who have traveled from far, but the rest of the people were natives from here.
Example, a name like Ghana.
Okay, Ghana.
And how it came about, from where.
Okay,
and,
Ghana. Exactly, a good example. So,
yeah.
Okay. I tried to find the name Ghana, how it originated. They associated the name Ghana to ancient Ghana Empire or the medieval Ghana Empire that was located somewhere around Senegal, Ram, and Mali. The name Ghana, etymologists will tell you it existed before this name. This medieval Ghana. Yeah. First, we had the name Ghana in ancient Israel. Bet Ghana. In Ghana, no, ancient Israel.
Ancient Israel.
Yeah, there was a place called Bet Ghana. Bet means house. Ifi. House Ghana. One time, one of the kings took refuge there when he was being chased by the, I think, Ohini Bakuno or Judah. He was being chased by the Northern Kingdom, the king from the Northern Kingdom, and so he took a refuge there in the place, Bet Ghana. So the name Ghana now existed already, and the meaning of the name Ghana is Garden of Paradise.
Ghana Dino.
Ghana mean Ghana Hebrew Kasa.
Ghana Hebrew Kasa.
Ghana pure Hebrew Kasa, and means Garden of Eden. Yeah.
Rolo Boso Adamte I of the same traditional area, which has been known for many years as the Shai traditional area, but actually it is the Se traditional area. I am a Dangbe, but I speak the Se language. You know, the name Se, which has been corrupted after the Inquisition or the enslavement of our people, they changed the name. And particularly around 1892, we had a serious conflict with the occupiers. That means those who enslaved our people. We resisted with all force, because we knew that it wasn't right for our forefathers to be taken away into slavery, or the sons of the Se to be taken into slavery. So in our resistance, we use all means necessary to defend ourselves. They may not be Adan or Krobo necessarily. They are part of a Dangbe group. But when you say Dangbe, you have to identify which group you belong to. Whether I am a Se or Klo, or Adan, or Buglan, or Usue, or Ningo. Then we have others also like Boom and the rest. But once upon a time, we were all the same people. We were the same people. In fact, the people known today as the Ga and the Dangbes and the Evers, we were the same people. We all migrated from Israel, as the history goes, came through the Nile, through Niger, through Benin, through Dahomey, before ending in Ghana. So historically, when you ask our cultures and you ask our history, we make reference to where we came from. We were one people, but during early times, there were misunderstandings and we broke up in different groups, but we are the same people. So when you say people in Ghana, even today, because less has been said about us, but we have retained our strong history and culture.
The Israelites aren't black and neither is Jesus. I hate...
Let me ask you something. Out of Ham, Shem and Japheth, do you think black people come from Ham?
Well, obviously. Ham is the progenitor of Sudan, Ethiopia, and Libya, duh?
Right. So a dark-skinned people. Black, right?
Yeah, what's your point?
You forgot to mention Mizraim, aka Egypt, was also a descendant from Ham.
So what?
So, you just said that Ham is the progenitor of dark-skinned people, meaning Egypt was originally black.
No, they're not! Shut
So
up!
now that we both agree ancient
don't
Egypt
agree.
or Kemet is a black civilization,
No!
you know the story of Joseph and his 11 brothers, right?
Sure, so what?
So why wasn't Joseph, being an Israelite ruler in a land full of Egyptians, instantly recognized by his 11 brothers?
Because
he was black, like the rest of the Egyptians.
No.
Another example. Do you know the story of Moses?
Yes?
So you know that Pharaoh was killing all the Hebrew babies, but yet somehow he couldn't recognize the Hebrew baby Moses that his own daughter presented in front of him?
Well, that's because
the Hebrew baby was black.
No!
Moses was black. Just like Pharaoh's daughter, just like Pharaoh.
That's a lie, they're not
Another
black!
example, in Acts 21:37-38, Paul is mistaken for an Egyptian, but yet he is an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin, as confessed by himself in Philippians 3:5. So yet again, how is a Hebrew Israelite getting mistaken for an Egyptian?
Special report. I'd like to walk with me and show you where I'm at. We are in a very sacred place, actually, for the Igbo people. We are in a place that's called Obu God. What does the word Obu mean? The temple of God. According to the legend, and according to some historical information, the question is how the Igbo people, by the way, the word Igbo, related to the word Hebrew. Obviously, when they first came here, they asked him, "Who are you?" They said, "We are Hebrews." Well, they said, "Well, no, Hebrew, we are Hebrews." That's how they got the name Hebrew. And we are inside right now. Show them the temple of God. So remember, the 10 tribes have been exiled, and about 630 BC, they started their migration all the way to Africa. And according to the artifacts here of the Igbo people, some of this related to the tribe of God, the people of God. And this is a place that is a memorial for the tribe of God and for the people of God. So this is an ancestry that is not as important to them. It's important to every Jewish person in the world to see that. Shalom. Can you say something about this place? Can you tell a little bit about this place?
As you were saying, this is Obu God.
Obu God. Obu
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
The palace?
The palace.
Of God.
Of God, yes.
So really, is that a common belief for the people that the descendants of the tribe of God came here?
Exactly.
Exactly, right?
Yes, that's true.
Which is not far-fetched. The 10 tribes have been exiled,
Yeah.
and they settled here. You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
I know. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? That is the question I have for you.
Thank you. I'll answer that question.
Go ahead, I will help you.
After the demise of Solomon, we now have the northern and southern kingdom of Israel.
Yes.
So when we talk about Jews, Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites.
Well, it's depending.
So minority cannot swallow the majority. We are here. We are the majority down here. So you are minority, and we are older than you.
All right, Maradi. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Just the woodwinds for this section.
Hey, Token, what's going on? This is the brass section. Yeah, I know. I was noticing that you're kind of hanging out a lot with Kyle lately. Is there a problem with that? No, I think it's amazing. It's awesome that someone like you could be okay with someone like him, given all the new information lately. You know, the stuff that's come out about how the Jews stole the black race's identity? That the lost tribes of Judah were actually all Africans? You didn't hear about this? Black people are actually the Jews, and people like Kyle have taken that from them? Stop talking to me. When the Jews came to America to escape persecution in World War II, they found that blacks were already the underclass in America, so they had to invent a story for themselves which they could make everyone believe because Kyle runs Hollywood.
Like, first of all, I'm a skeptic first, and I'm a very literal person. Not that I can't see nuance, but when it comes to definitions, that's the first thing before a conversation begins I try to do is like, I can say something, but if you have a different definition of what this means, then we're gonna be talking about two different things. And so the term Hebrew Israelite, Paul said, I am a Hebrew from the tribe of Benjamin. Paul is a Hebrew Israelite. Literally, that's just the facts. All the disciples were Hebrew Israelites, you know, and so the term itself just means a Hebrew person, you know, and Hebrew is ethnicity, not religion. You know, you can be a Hebrew atheist, you know, and so when it comes to recognizing it first as a ethnicity and not a religious claim, I think it really, really clarifies things for people that have this mindset that, oh, because you identify as Hebrew and you're a POC, you now therefore yell at white people on the streets and call them Edomites and say, you're gonna bow down to me. And it's like, no, like, first of all, that's not biblical, that's heresy, and it's offensive, you know, and for me, collaboration within the church, collaboration within unity, within diversity is what the gospel is all about. So it's an ethnic claim first, you know, and it has, not to say it has nothing to do religiously, because there are religious principles that apply, but I don't take the religious aspect and then say, oh, I now call myself a da-da-da, because what happens is people hear that and their mind is shifted so quickly because I say that. They don't even want to associate to a term that is being used so generically, kind of like how some people who you know are Christians, it's like, oh, I don't like to use the word Christian because, you know, and for me, it's really just, you know, not to say be safer, but to be wise and just like, you know, I would rather you see the fruit before you judge the tree, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, hey, like, I'm fully a Christian, I'm fully a follower of the way. It's just ethnically, I believe that my people were Hebrew and I'm a Hebrew.